All hail the Clix crew. Alright guys, today we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Howard Brock from Lucky Dice Cafe. This is a good time to let you know that Mr. ClixFlix is sponsored by Lucky Dice Cafe out of Huntsville, Alabama, home of the ROC. No matter if you're in the United States or around the world, Lucky Dice Cafe has the winning role for our gaming needs. You can visit them at luckydicecafe.com or on their Facebook page using the link found in the description of this video. Howard runs Lucky Dice Cafe, and he also runs the ROC, the Realms Open Championship, for those of you that like competitive Heroclix. Howard, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm glad it's Friday and the weekend is upon us.
I know, it's a great time to just be around. I don't know about in Alabama, but here in Pennsylvania the weather has been really nice and really encouraging some outside activities, so been enjoying doing that stuff. So for people that don't know you, that are just listening for the first time, I like to treat every show as if it might be somebody's first show. Why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself? You are a player as well as a major mover and shaker in the Heroclix community, right?
That is correct. I don't get to play quite as much as I used to. I'm still passionate about it, but it's not. I have so many things going on that it's impossible for me to play like I once used to. But I am a two-time world champion. I've been playing Clix for years upon years, pretty much all the way since the beginning. Well known in the community, good traveler. I have helped sponsor Dragon Con back in the day, and was a founder of ROC. I've been partnered with TCG Player, been partnered and partnered now with WizKids. And own Lucky Dice Cafe, which was built on Heroclix. Mm-hmm. We think that it's a very unique store. I'm just an all-around nice guy. That's about it.
There you go. Yeah, Howard's a great guy to deal with. When my channel was very small, he was very kind to me and reached out so that we could work together. And I haven't ran into one person that had anything bad to say about him. So that's good there. And so what's been, there's a lot of stuff going on out in the world. We won't necessarily discuss that, but what's been going on over at Lucky Dice Cafe? What are you guys getting into over there?
We've done quite a bit. We were a store that was a little bit more adaptive to COVID than other stores. And the reason is because we have an online and have had an online presence for years. Our store was built from online sales, so that naturally helped us get through this. And then I believe always in turning negative things into a positive thing. And so the COVID was definitely negative business-wise and everything else. But we were able to do some things. We were able to take advantage of the time where we were closed. And we were never fully closed. Because we're a cafe, we were still able to serve and deliver food, which we did some pretty neat things there. We use a local place here in Alabama. It's called Grub South. It's very familiar to Waiter or Grub Hub, which most people have heard of. But we have our own little place that does that. We also have those other places, but I like Grub South was here first, and the lady that runs it for us, runs the one here, used to be my banker years ago. And I like supporting local businesses. So we gave her our business almost from the day that we opened. And we together put board games on the menu. So people can actually order, when we had COVID, we were able to actually deliver with food board games to people's homes. And we like the fact that we did that. And we also took the time to go through our system at Lucky Dice and do an inventory, make our website better, make it more fluid when people were looking at product, and we increased our online sales. We also took the time to expand our kitchen, redo our floor, put in a new countertop, rearrange the whole front end, make it better organized in the back. And then we built a D&D room and put in a table, a play table, and we also we started doing rental games. We added coffee. We've added milkshakes. We've added jerky. We turned it from a total negative thing to a positive thing and we kept income coming in, not as much as what we were used to, but we kept income coming in. With a little bit of aid from the government. We got through it, and we came out on the other side really well. And from that, I think our business is flourishing even more so. So that's how we handled it, and those are the things that we did.
That is excellent to hear. I'm happy you guys are doing well with all that. It's a tough time for a lot of gaming stores, comic stores, and stuff like that. So I'm happy to hear that you guys are doing well, and you actually had a chance to not only continue doing business, but it sounds like improve a lot. So I'm really looking forward to getting back on your webpage, poking around there for a little bit. But you also mentioned you guys have been working with this web app called Ogsit, which I know a little bit about, but why don't you, I think the first time I knew you started majorly working with it was with this Justice League set, right?
We've been working on it before that. Justice League was something that kind of kicked it off.
Yeah.
Ogsit is very interesting, and I'll be honest with you, I kind of avoided Ogsit to begin with. They kind of, I don't want to say they hounded me, but they persistently approached me.
Yeah.
And they approached me just before the World Championships last year. And then at the World Championships, they approached me directly and gave me cards and talked to me for a long time and gave me this spiel. But we like I said, we've been doing sales for a long time, and this is no kidding. The year before we opened up the store, the year before we opened up Lucky Dice Cafe, I had another business that was our bread and butter that we lived on, and we did Heroclix part-time, my wife and I. And I told her a few years before that how that we could make money selling Heroclix. She didn't really believe me, but I did it. We went and brought out some of the stuff I had, and she couldn't believe what these things were selling for. And from that went on, we just kept selling Heroclix, and we would, and I used to do this a lot. I used to, years and years ago, I had a business on eBay, and I was very experienced at it. I just got away from it because I was doing other things. So we got back into Heroclix mode, and we started doing auctions and doing buy it now and building our business up. The year before we opened up Lucky Dice Cafe, we did $100,000 in Heroclix sales alone on eBay.
Oh, wow.
So we're very experienced and very knowledgeable in eBay sales, and I don't know that there's very many people that are more knowledgeable in Heroclix than I am in every aspect, meaning the single sales, the retail sales, the playability, the tournament play. I'm not saying I'm the best at any one of those things. I'm just well-rounded in all of them.
Yeah, very, very broad knowledge base.
Correct.
Yeah.
So when Ogsit approached me, I've been pretty happy with eBay, and I also had been watching Ogsit prior to that, and I heard a lot of people complaining about it, saying that they had bugs and that the app wasn't any good, and that they weren't able to buy what they wanted, and yada yada. So I was kind of negative on Ogsit anyways. Anyway, like I said, these guys were persistent, and I kept talking to him on the phone, and I ended up talking to the owner of the company on the phone, and I brought my wife into it. We started listening to it, and I started listening to more about it, and I started becoming a little intrigued. So I was offered a role as a consultant in the company, and offered the Heroclix room, which we've changed. It used to be, I think it was just called Heroclix, but now it's the Heroclix Cafe, and we run that room. And we also we meet with them pretty much on a weekly basis, and have been for quite a while, giving them advice. And where they were at and where they're going is two different things. There were so many things that I felt like they were doing wrong, and that they had a lack of knowledge of. Now, I'm not saying they're dummies by any means, but we're eBay experts. We are experts at selling on eBay and auctions. And for other knowledge, I have a lot of other experience in other things besides Heroclix. I used to be a car dealer. I used to go to auctions and buy. I've sold at auctions. I've bought and sold cars. I used to have a fruit stand. I've I've had a gas station, a convenience. I've had a lot of things, and I understand sales, and I understand how they work, and I understand auctions specifically. What these guys were doing, their concept is great. It's kind of like Reddit meets eBay, and what it is it's a room that you can go to, and they would hold an event, and let's say they put up 100 items, and their auction would start. They would put the items up, and the items might be sitting there for anywhere from 3 to 7 days, and it would be sitting there, so you knew what was coming through. Auction starts at 6 o'clock. Auction lasts maybe an hour or two, and then it ends. So let's just say an hour. Starts at 6, ends at 7. Well, all 100 items are live at one time, and your app on your phone. They don't have it. They don't have capability right now on the PC, but that's coming. But your app on your phone, if you had stuff you wanted to bid on, you would have to be tracking all 100 items. So if you wanted to buy multiple items, you're looking at 100 items at a time. So the bids are coming through, and at the very end, just before the auction ends, that's when everything picks up pace, and everything is just flying and moving, and there's no way you can watch 100 items at one time. Now, the one thing that they had in place was that if somebody bid on the item 30 seconds before it ended, it extended the time. So there's no sniping in this. Yeah. If you snipe, all you do is extend the time and give somebody else an option to bid. It keeps adding time until nobody bids, and then you've won that auction. That's like a live auction. That's the way a live auction works.
Yep.
When you see people see these auctions on TV and they're slamming down the anvil, or if you go to a car auction, that's the way that works. The next thing doesn't start until that one ends. But in this particular case, they got 100 things all at one time doing that. And I'm like, guys, no. People are not going to like this. Buyers are not going to like this. They're not going to keep trying to keep track of that much stuff. And furthermore, your seller is going to lose money because there's too much going on at once, and your product is not going to bring as much money as it should. So I showed them a different system, or I pointed them towards a different system, and I know where it's going. And where it's going, I believe it's that Oxid's going to end up being a very big company. And all I can say is our agreement as a consultant is that we will be vested in that company, and I want it to be very big. What we did, and it's just a snap of what's coming. We ran an event when Justice League came out, and we took, say, 100 items, but we would do 10 different auctions in the same night, and we would spread them 10, 15, 20 minutes apart. So we would put 10 items up at a time, which you can look at, and everybody was bidding on the 10 items, and then when all 10 items were done, we then would post 10 more items up. And that went on for an hour and a half or so, and we did very well at it, and people liked it, and it was much better. There are flaws that are still there, that they're working on it, that there's a better product coming. What Oxid does is it allows, you're basically like in a chat room. You're able to talk to each other. What we want to do is we want to, say our auction starts at 6 o'clock, we want to do something around 5 o'clock, 5:30, do a little podcast, do some live streaming of a game, do a little bit of chit-chatting, and maybe give some prizes away, yada, yada, do some things, and then auction starts, everybody can start bidding and talking with each other, and so on and so forth. And basically it's making an event. It's just like going to a car auction, say on Wednesday night. If there's a car auction every Wednesday night, everybody gets used to that. And, okay, I got 6 o'clock, I got to go check out the auction and see what's coming through this week. And we're doing nothing. We're turning it into something like that. It's more social, and and there's a lot of items through that are very. And we also can put a store up where you can do some buy it now and some of the more common things also. My vision is this. My vision is to have what I would call a lane, just like you have at a car auction. Maybe we run 6 to 10 lanes or 1 to 2 lanes. I mean, we'll start off with 1 and expand them. But let's say Lucky Dice Cafe is lane 1. That means everything that's on lane 1 is Lucky Dice Cafe items. Let's say I go to Majestics and I say, Majestics, why don't you join in this? And Majestics gets lane 2, and everything coming through lane 2 is Majestics. Then I go to Troll and Toad and I say, hey, why don't y'all take lane 3? And then, so I get all these stores, or maybe Gone Guy Games has got lane 4. Okay. Then I have a general public lane, number 5. And that's all that James Peterson's got 10 things that he's wanting to run that night. He puts it on lane 5. Jason Alvey's got 5 items he wants to run that night. He puts it on lane 5. And so we have a general public lane that's going through. So at 6 o'clock, every lane fires and they start going. But in lane 1, in each one of those lanes, the next item will not come up until the one item is completed. So let's say I'm selling a Thanos at 6 o'clock and people are bidding on it, and the next item coming up is Spider-Man. Spider-Man doesn't go on the block until Thanos is over, but then he immediately comes up on the block and people start bidding on him.
Right.
And that's the way I want to run it, and I think that it's something that's desired by people. I like the idea of it being an event and doing special things and being more social and people being able to talk to each other. And I think that it's something different than what's out there right now. And I think that people like the idea of it being a little bit more social, being able to talk directly to the buyer and each other, and not getting sniped.
Right. Yeah. No, that sounds really cool. I did look at Auxit a while ago when they first started, and like you, I was kind of a little iffy on it, and I saw a lot of the sales prices were really low, and I was like, it's going to be hard to sell anything to convince people to come here if you're going to make like less than half. But I did, when you mentioned about the Justice League stuff going on there, I did stop back. I was like, Howard doesn't normally co-sign something unless it's pretty good. So I stopped on and I looked, and it was way better than it was. And like you said, I've never been to a car auction, but in my area, there's a livestock auction that goes on every Friday. Yep. And it's the same thing. You go, you end up getting to meet people. There's typically some food trucks. You get your food truck stuff. You get to talk to the person that the previous owner of the animal, get to know the animal a little bit, and then you can make your purchases. And like you said, it's just, not everything, all the rabbits, for example, don't go up at one time. It's each individual animal, and then maybe next up is the sheep or something like that. So I do think that this is an interesting way to go. I really hope it works out, because competition breeds innovation. So if we can at least get something out there that can give eBay a run for its money or something like that, even if that's all it does, and it makes them up their game, and then Auxit can up their game too, I think we're going to be in a much better place if people, it sort of becomes a game of one-upsmanship at that point.
And I want to say too that there's improvements being worked on constantly. We talk every week, and that we have a huge list of things that's going to be that's going to occur over time. And the product you see today is not going to be the product that's there from 6 months, and it's not going to be the product that's there 6 months later. We will be on the PC eventually, to where you don't have to do. It's not just going to be a phone app. It will be on the PC, which makes it easier for sellers and buyers. It's meant to go both ways. Shipping. The ease of shipping is being worked on. The ease of payments being worked on. Everything is being worked on to make it better. Feedback is taken very seriously from people that use this. And another thing, this isn't just Heroclix. We're one room. The idea here is to have a gazillion rooms. A Heroclix room, a game workshop room, a candle room, or whatever, any kind of product. Anybody, you should be able to take any kind of product that sells. The owner's brother sells fishing lures, and he runs a room and he sells these fishing lures, and he sells out of them, and he sells them by running the same type of auction that I just described. And his lures are anywhere up to $60. Oh wow! And so it's wide open. And that's where we're going.
Yeah, and like you just kind of alluded to, this is not like a global conglomerate, right? This is just a few people trying to make something that works and might help some people out, right?
Well, that's absolutely right. Now, the guy that owns this, his name is Vince. And Vince, this is like his fourth business. He's knows what he's doing. He's got software people working on this, and he's got a good team around him. And the goal here is to be, I don't know that we anticipate ever being as big as eBay, but if I was probably 100th the size of eBay, I would be pretty damn happy.
Right.
And that's our goal. We want this to turn into a big company. I believe the potential is there for this company to do just that.
Good. Yeah, I look very much forward to seeing what goes on with it. Again, like you said, innovation's always happening and going on. So I'm excited to see how it works out. Hopefully, they get the other rooms up and they're able to attract more than Heroclix players and stuff like that. But like I said, I did poke my head in on the Heroclix one, and it was very interesting. And I could definitely see how, even if you didn't want to buy something, I could see how somebody'd almost do it just for fun, kind of like an entertainment type thing.
Yep. Yeah. And it is fun.
Yeah. So definitely something that's going to be cool, and I think people are going to want to get in on the ground floor of. So the next thing we had to talk about was ROC, just I guess in general, and then we had talked about a little bit about ROC Online, what's going on with that, and ROC State Championships.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Rock Online first.
Okay.
So Rock Online has flourished. Obviously, in the last few months, is grown. We've had big tournaments. Tournaments that used to only be 8 people grew up to be 30 people playing, and that's all because of COVID. Because it was the only way that people could play, and I'm glad that we were able to provide a function. And honestly, it's helped us at the cafe too, because we've had a little bit of a revenue stream. That being said, somewhere in all of that, we ran out of prizing. We couldn't. Now I can get maps, I can get tokens, I can get dice, but I was unable to get WizKids product. Now, WizKids would be more than glad to take my order during this whole time, but there's nothing they can do because all of their inventory was locked up in Alliance.
Right.
And so when I make my orders to WizKids, they fulfill them through Alliance. And Alliance obviously was shut down for quite a while, and so the promise we made is that once we got our prizes back in our hand, that we would send out prizing, and that is what we're going to do. We made our order to WizKids last week. We would have liked to have done it earlier. Alliance has been open for a few weeks, but Alliance was also backlogged, and WizKids said for us to wait until June before we processed an order, which we did, and we have. And that order has been received, and it should be fulfilled within the next 10 days. I think it'll be. I'm anticipating Monday or Tuesday for WizKids to send me the final bill on it, and when I get the final bill, I'll pay it, and then probably within a week or so, we should have prizing in hand. So, that being said, when we ran out of inventory, we also were unable to sell rock kits to anybody that wanted to run rock kits when they're run rock events. And I have been asked, every part of the world and in the country is a little different. There's some places that can actually run live events during this time period. There's other places that could not run anything, and so we will sell to somebody if they can run the event. And anyway, we're going to have product soon, and we'll be opening back up kits online, and prizing will be going out to people that are owed prizing all within the next few weeks, and hopefully we'll be up and running again. And that's where we're at on that. Okay. What I also want to say is that there's a lot of consideration that I'd look at on what we sell at through Gamers Mats and maps that we sell. And this is the end of the quarter coming up this month, and I don't think disbursement of maps had been enough to be fair to everybody. So therefore, we took the maps to let them be purchased also.
Very cool.
Because I think that was something that was needed to do. That's not something we would normally do with a prize map, but right. I don't want to be in a situation where 30 people in the world have these maps and nobody else does.
Right, yeah. I think everybody's going to understand there were more than a handful of extenuating circumstances on this one.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, leading from there into states, we did ship out all the state tournaments during COVID. Everybody should have received their kits by now. And like I said before, everybody's in a different status of what they can and can't do. So I know Mississippi is about to run their state tournament because they're able to. But there's some other places that can't run any events at all. There's some places. I had one specifically. I will name Untapped Games in Rhode Island that are not open back up yet, and they can't run. And they sent me an email. And they says, "Well, what if we can't run this tournament at all?" And my first thought about that was that maybe we should do it online. Maybe we can run it online for you. But that also opens up a can of worms. So before I replied to them, I wanted to talk to WizKids and see what their thoughts were on it. And I can tell you that they are very opposed to running states tournaments and WizKids tournaments of that nature online. I think a national WizKids tournament would be easier to do than, say, a state tournament. Because what would happen? The purpose of a state tournament is to have that area have their state tournament, and then people around in other states in the areas come in and be able to play. But you're targeting that state specifically. When you run an online tournament for Rhode Island and it's open to everybody, yeah, you're probably going to get a higher amount of entries, but you're also getting people from possibly outside the United States, possibly in California, possibly in New Mexico, Texas, everywhere else. They're going to jump on this thing,
right?
And it becomes not a local event of any sort anymore. WizKids also has concern about the level of tournaments and about what people may or may not can do in the tournaments, and so we don't want to do that. So the bottom line is that we're not going to jump online. We want everybody to run their tournaments for December. We think that should be able to happen, but we will in late October, early November, take another snapshot at everything. And if there are states that have been unable to run their tournaments, we will do what we think is right and be able to make a decision that the states will be happy with. And I kind of already know what we will do, but I don't want to say that until we evaluate it in October, November.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's good that you guys are concerned and you're trying to work with people and do what's best for everybody concerned. So, yeah, and I see where WizKids and yourself are concerned about the, like, basically would take a state tournament and change it to a global tournament, possibly, with what's going on. And then, you could maybe say, look at people's IP addresses, but with, like the VPNs and stuff like that, you can, say you're from anywhere. It doesn't matter. So yeah, that's cool. I know my state, Pennsylvania, is doing theirs July 26th tentatively, so hopefully we'll be able to get that in. I'd like to. This one's finally nearish me for my own state, and I don't have to go to a different state, so we'll see how that goes. But
yeah, it's up there. Yours is up around Pittsburgh, isn't it?
Yeah, yep. It's in the Steel City, so that's about an hour from me. So that's more than reasonable to drive to. I know people that drive, couple hours every week to just go play a regular game. So an hour drive isn't a big deal to me for a major tournament. So that was nice. So about, we're talking about ROC states. I guess we'll go ahead to the next level up. What about the Rock Cup? Do we know what's going on with that? And whenever I had another guest on, we had discussed about possible interactions with Heroclix Worlds because, everything's up in the air right now. Nobody really knows when or where or if anything's happening.
All right. Well, I can speak on all three of those things all at once.
Okay.
That being Worlds, that being the Cup, and that being my particular states, which I've touched on everywhere else, but I can talk about all three of those things. Our states also is scheduled for next month in mid-July. I don't remember the exact date, but it's in mid-July. And the state of Alabama, at this moment, if I could not hold a state's event, I could not hold the Rock Cup at this moment in the state of Alabama under the restrictions and guidelines that we have to follow. I can only be half capacity. I'm only allowed to have groups of 8 at a table. I have to sanitize the tables when they get up. We have our tables spread to where they're 8 feet apart. And the people are supposed to maintain 6 foot distance. So we're doing all the things that the state requires us to do. But to run something like the Rock Cup, we would exceed 100 people, obviously, in the store. So that would be a problem there. The state tournament, I'm relatively sure we would exceed 8 people in, and that's also a problem because I'm supposed to lock people in at tables when they sit down, and you're having people move back and forth, and it's going to make it near impossible to run. That being said, the order that we have in place right now ends on July 3rd, at which time we will get a new order. The anticipation is that order will loosen up restraints even more. So as far as the Rock Cup goes, I'm planning on running it, but it will be, whether I run that or not will be dictated highly by what I am told on July 3rd. It could be a situation where I postpone it. It could be a situation where I run it. It could be a situation where I cancel it. I plan on running it unless I'm unable to run it or something dictates otherwise that I shouldn't run it. There are conventions planned for next month here in the state of Alabama that are planned on going off. A local one that draws 10,000 people that we are a vendor at. That's an indication to me that we should be able to run the Rock Cup. Looking at all those things, but I do know that a decision has to be made in July because people have to make travel plans, so on and so forth. But we plan on running the Rock Cup. The Rock Cup, if we run it, will be 2 national events. We will have convention exclusives there. We will have the good stuff. And we may be the first place that you're able to go and get some of these convention exclusives that nobody's been able to go get. So that is our plans. My state's tournaments is kind of the same way. I'm waiting to July 3rd. I may have to postpone state's tournament for Alabama even more so. I'm planning on running it in July, but I may not be able to. World Championship. WizKids is planning 100% on running the Worlds.
Okay.
That being said, the NFL is also planning on running the NFL games full capacity. College football is planning on running things as normal. The situation may dictate other things to occur. WizKids knows this. Right now, they feel like they can. They feel like they can run it. They feel like they can. If they feel like there's some things that they can do to maybe even help remedy meeting COVID requirements if they need to. But they're outweighed by what they're told by the government, and specifically by the local government and the state government. They're limited to what they can do, and they may have it canceled for them, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right, yeah.
Nobody anticipates that happening, but everybody's being realistic in knowing that it could. But right now, the plan is to have Worlds, and I'm planning on myself to be there, and I'm planning on the Rock Cup to lead into Worlds the way that it's supposed to this year, and that's our plan. But like I said, that plans can get changed, but that is the plan right now.
Okay, all that is excellent to hear. I'm sure some people are going to be happy that they're going to be able to, tentatively maybe schedule some things. That'll be nice. I know I was pretty concerned that stuff was going to get moved or canceled, but it's nice to hear that WizKids, if they had their druthers, they're going to have it at the regular, at their scheduled place and time, and then basically if it's not that, it's because somebody told them they couldn't do it. So that's for everybody to know now, so you know what's going on with Heroclix Worlds, the ROC Cup, Alabama State Championship. So all of that stuff is there for you guys. So when we were talking a little bit before the show, you had given me a piece of information that I hadn't considered or didn't come across, that there's Galactus. You have the Galactus up for pre-order with Lucky Dice, but you told me there's two Galactuses?
Yeah, that Galactus everybody is seeing right now is not the storyline Galactus. Okay. People have made the assumption that the storyline event is not going to happen, therefore they decided to sell Galactus. That's not true at all. This is the retail version Galactus. There is another Galactus that is the storyline version. Okay. And that storyline version is, I think, a different sculpt. I'm not positive, but I think it's a different. I'm like 90% positive that I was told that it was a different sculpt entirely. Okay. But just don't hold me to that one. Okay. But I know that it's a different Galactus. Okay, and so
yeah, even if it's not, for people that don't know, sometimes WizKids will just change the paint deco a little bit and still call it different. So that's something to keep in mind too, is that it might just be a different paint job or something like that too. But there will be a visual difference. You'll be able to look at it and know which one's which.
That's right. There is another Galactus. The storyline event, I believe, is a little wishy-washy right now. Meaning that I think that WizKids would like to have it, but I don't know that they're going to be able to have it. And you could very well see this 5-2 being where that Galactus is sold or giving out in some different way. I don't think they've even made up their mind about that. Right. The whole point, though, there's another one out there. Okay. Very cool. All right, and then last thing is I saw you guys at Lucky Dice Cafe, as of the recording of this video, had Fantastic Four previews today, all of which were really cool. I shared them. Well, you shared them. I shared them, but I didn't see you had shared them, so I deleted my post. They were all really cool. I especially like Dragon Man. But so you guys got that, and you do have the pre-orders available for stuff like that. We do. All you have to do is, you can go into our Facebook group, or go in and there's a link there that takes you there. But just LuckyDiceCafe.com. We every one of our categories has pre-order categories. So if you scroll on the menu and you go to Heroclix, and you can look at, you'll see a subcategory that says Heroclix. All the way to Spider-Man and Carnage and House of X. We've got all those things up for pre-order right now.
Ah, very cool. All right, so you guys have all that cool stuff up for pre-order?
That's correct. Like I said, LuckyDiceCafe.com. You can just go on there and you'll see all the stuff. And we add, as we get new things, we add in there. We do pre-orders pretty much for everything, but Heroclix is where Heroclix people is pretty much who we're talking to right now, so they're available. Yeah. I also, one thing while we're talking about Lucky Dice Cafe, I mentioned this to you before. One of the things that we will be doing in the very near future, we'll be doing our own podcast. Now, our podcast is not a Heroclix podcast. We're doing the plan is to do it on Thursdays. We're going to be doing it live. I'll have guests with me. Sometimes they're local people. Sometimes they might be somebody else. It could be a celebrity. It could be, I know a lot of people in the gaming industry. There's a lot of people I know that are interesting talks. It could be a new game that's coming out that we want to talk about. But we'll be we'll be talking about local events, upcoming events, new product that's in the store, previewing new product. We'll be talking about Heroclix, obviously, a little touch of rock, D&D, a little bit of everything. We'll be going through things, and I think it's something that's interesting for people to see, keep them abreast, and you'll see new things going on and find out new stuff all the time. We'll also be doing another project that we've been working on, James, not Heroclix related, but we've been working on this for nearly a year, and we're getting close to being able to launch a Kickstarter. But we have a D&D mystery box that we've been working on, and the first inklings of that will probably start showing on our podcast and free RPG Day, which is coming up next Friday. But we plan on launching that Kickstarter sometime probably around August. And this mystery box, this D&D mystery box, is different than anything that anybody's ever done before. And I think that some of our guys like D&D, so keep an eye on that. The name of that company is Adventure Tomes, or Adventure Tomes, I guess I should say. And it's an ongoing adventure that changes every month, and I think that people are going to like that. So keep an eye on that, and we'll be launching that soon.
Oh, okay, that sounds awesome. I've always thought about getting into D&D, and I don't think I have enough friends that are able to get together anymore on that kind of a regular basis. But this the box, though, if it was somebody like me that's basically stone cold new, would it be okay for somebody like that, or is this more of a for an experienced D&D?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Yeah. Both. We send you everything that you need in the box. A lot of people. I mean, I'll hit on this box just a little bit.
Yeah.
There's mystery boxes out there. Everybody's familiar with mystery boxes, whether it be a Stan Lee box, whether it be there's other D&D boxes out there. What's the company? WizKids? I mean, not WizKids, but NECA owns it now. What's the one that everybody knows?
Loot Crate.
Loot Crate. Loot Crate was bought by NECA. Loot Crate had some problems. I don't know exactly what they were, but they were financial problems.
Yeah.
But Loot Crate had 1.3 million subscribers when they started to have problems. That's a lot of people.
Yes.
Anyway, those mystery boxes are all kind of, it's just random product. All right, so you might, if you're getting a D&D box, for example, there's going to be cool D&D stuff in there, but some of that stuff you may or may not want. I used to get the Stan Lee mystery box and I loved it, but there's stuff in there that I gave away, stuff that I kept, stuff that was cool, stuff that wasn't so cool. I've got some stuff sitting right above me that came out of that box that I liked, little statues and stuff that I kept. But it's not, like I said, when you get these boxes, sometimes it's not really anything that you want. Sometimes it's El Cheapo. Sometimes it's really nice.
Right.
Our box isn't set up that way. Our box is set up to a story. And so everything that you get, we're going to give you a story every month, and everything that comes in that box is related to that story.
Okay, that sounds awesome. I'll have to definitely check it out, and I'll even though this is a Heroclix channel, I think D&D is pretty close to it, so I'll definitely share it out when that Kickstarter goes live, because that sounds really interesting.
It's different than anything that anybody's doing, and we've been working on it for a long time. We have a professional comic book artist that's been doing artwork for us that's part of our team. Oh. We have a D&D master storyteller that's been writing our stuff. We have this is something that I just had a brain. This is something that I thought about over 2 years ago and set on the shelf, and finally said, "Hey, let's do this." And I put a team together of people that I knew, and we've been working on it ever since. And we have a lot of experience in different facets. We have a guy that joined the team that we brought in that worked with. He worked with, hold on, I can't think of the company. Cool Minis or Not. He launched a lot of Kickstarters for them, and he's launched for other. He's worked with Games Workshop. He's worked with a lot of other companies, and he has a lot of experience with making successful Kickstarters. And so we got him on board. He's part of our company. We got just a vast variety, and it's like I said, it's a different take. I can't wait to actually start showing it and to actually put it up and to give more details of it. So if you watch the podcast and you're gonna get little bits and little tidbits every week, all the way to where we actually start to launch it on Kickstarter. D&D is big in my store. I have close to 75 groups that play RPG in my store. I have RPG group that's got 300 members enrolled in it. I've got my on Sundays we run Adventure League. We run Adventure League on Sundays and on Tuesdays, and we fill the store. I mean, on Sundays it's wall to wall. Everybody playing RPG, playing D&D. It's very, very, very big, and I think it's just because of who we are. I mean, in the way we do things, we welcome everybody, and we have a lot of table space. We serve food, we serve beer, we serve jerky, we serve milkshakes, we serve coffee. We have a private D&D room. We treat everybody well. We have increased our RPG and miniatures line vastly, and I think that's why we're successful with that, and we love it.
Very cool. Oh, that sounds great. Now, did you mention when-ish you think that you might have that Kickstarter? Did I hear a date?
Yeah, we went over dates at the past meeting, and we think August is going to be it. We think that the actual launch should be in August.
Okay, so everybody keep an eye out for August. I'll share it when I see it. And the pre-orders for the Heroclix stuff, the Galactus and the Fantastic Four and stuff, I saw you had that posted. What is that, like July 6th or something?
The cutoff for pre-orders... let me make sure I tell you right. I just click over there and look myself. I happen to be more or less on the website. Channels. I don't want to tell anybody wrong, so
they can yell at me if I was wrong, and then we'll let you can correct me. But
the pre-order date, it's available on Monday. Did I put the date? I just put pre-order now on there. I actually put that in the post. I'm pretty sure it's July, the first part of July. I want to feel like it's the 7th or somewhere right in there.
Okay, yeah. So make sure to go on there at luckydicecafé.com. Place your pre-orders. Shipping's very inexpensive. The prices are always good. I, even before Howard sponsored me, had gotten stuff from Howard, and since then, I don't get like super special ship time, but the ship time is still very excellent across the board. I always get my stuff the week it comes out. There's no waiting like a couple weeks or something like that some places make you do. So make sure to if you don't have your local comic book store and you're looking to shop online, make sure to at least consider Lucky Dice Cafe for that stuff.
Yeah, to give you an idea on the shipping on those things, release dates for all Heroclix is always on a Wednesday. We generally get our product anywhere from Monday or Tuesday before release. And so the day that we get our product, we immediately separate it on it and ship it either that day or the next.
Yeah, I normally, when the stuff drops on a Wednesday, I typically get it I have gotten stuff as early as a Friday, but normally it comes that Saturday. And it may be different for you if you live further away. Regionally, I'm, kind of close-ish to Lucky Dice, so that's probably why I get a little bit quicker. But it's always Howard's always Johnny on the spot on getting things out the door. It's not if it's getting there late, it's because of USPS or somebody like that. It's not because Howard didn't send it fast enough.
Well, I'm a HeroClix player, and I know how important it is to get your product. And I mean, when I buy something, I want my product right then,
right?
And everybody else does too. So we try to flip it quick.
Yeah, you guys do an excellent job of that. So, now that we've talked about all that stuff, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about, or is that pretty much everything? I know that's everything we discussed about talking about. So, got anything left?
Well, you guys need to come down and have a milkshake at the store. That's about it.
Yeah.
We just started milkshakes this week, and they're pretty darn awesome. They're handmade. We make them right there. And we got something. I got to tell you this. This is so cool. I got to tell you this. We don't have them yet. We just purchased them. All right. Normally, you have a milkshake, and then you have your cream.
Yeah.
And then you put a cherry on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, red cherry. Well, we found a candy company that makes gummy red dice.
Okay, that's awesome.
So we're going to have our milkshakes are going to have a red dice instead of a cherry. And I just think that is so cool. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, that's what stopping by Lucky Dice personally is on my gaming bucket list. So hopefully I'll be able to pull myself away from work for Rocktober at some point, even though it's in August. That's just a busy time of the year for me for work, but I definitely want to stop by there. I'd encourage anybody in the area to stop by. It sounds like an awesome time, and I've spoken to Howard in person. I don't just know him as an online person, and he's a great guy. So please make sure to stop by, and I'm sure that you'll have a good time there. All right, so you guys let us know in the comments below your thoughts on anything that we discussed. If you have any more questions for Howard and you'd like him to come on again, make sure to put those in the comments below also. I'm sure Howard normally stops by and comments on those comments if somebody has a question. And then if there's a bunch of them, we can always do another episode. Yeah, so that is all we have for you guys today. As always, please remember that it's only critical miss if you don't have probability control. And once again, thank you, Howard Brock, for coming on.
Always a pleasure.
Yep. All right, guys. Later.